Hi there, Tina from Target Tamers. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm reviewing the Vortex Strikefire 2. As one of the best mid-range red dot sights to date, let's check out why it's so popular. As a $200-ish red dot sight, depending on your budget, you might be expecting the world of it, or you might not expect much at all. It's a lot less feature-packed than the tried and tested Holosun 510C, but it does have dual illumination, red and green, a great solid body, and it comes with awesome flip-up caps. I've had this sight for over 5 years. It's been good to me. It spends most of its time on a Smith & Wesson M&P 1522 for range practice and plinking. Yes, 22s are a heck of a lot cheaper to pop off at the range. But for the purpose of this review, I have it mounted to a Ruger AR556. Getting on paper at 25 yards ended up turning into zeroing. I was off by a little, made some adjustments, and bam. Yes, I got tight groups and expended little ammo, but I was still sitting at a bench. Because I'm impatient, I moved to extremes and popped off 7 rounds 100 yards downrange and standing. I heard the satisfying pings of hitting steel and felt content with that. No adjustments, nothing. Sorry there's no footage of that. Someone didn't know how to hit the red button on my phone to record. Sighting in is easy. If you can get past the fact that the Strikefire 2 does not have finger adjustable turrets, you'll be alright. The caps themselves can work as the tool needed to make adjustments, which is a major perk in my opinion. On a brand new model, you'll see the letters R and up with a surface etched arrow pointing counterclockwise for directions of adjustments. On mine, they're long gone. Either remember the directions or be willing to mess around a bit until you figure it out. Now the reticle is a 4 MOA dot and it's big. The good news is that it's incredibly visible and, at least in my opinion, it's daylight bright. The best thing about it though is that it tracked accurately, so I was able to hit exactly where I wanted to every single time. For home defense, close range engagements, you're covered. For long range use, if the goal is to get marksman worthy hits or sniper accuracy, that dot is going to take up a lot of real estate, so you might want to think about that. Now this model is the dual illumination model with both red and green, but it also does come in a red only model. I'm partial to red, so I hardly ever mess with the green. Unfortunately, the Strikefire 2 does not have interchangeable reticles, so you can't change out the dot size, or you can't add a ring around it, or see a different reticle design. To move between reticle colors, depress the down button for 4 seconds. To increase or decrease reticle brightness, push the up and down buttons. There's some starburst effect at max brightness. This could annoy you, especially since it's a larger dot, but I spend most of my time in the lower settings anyway. Some people have complained about the buttons being unresponsive unless you find the exact center or the sweet spot. I have not experienced that issue. My fingers may be smaller than other users, so I find it easier to get right on the button. While I can get it to press down if I'm barely on the side, I do have to press a lot harder. So I can see bigger fingers having a harder time. You do want to use the very tips of your fingers and not the underside, so that might help things to get done easier. As a side note, it has rear-facing controls. I'm not a huge fan of rear-facing buttons because they tend to be hard to access when using a magnifier behind it, but these aren't too bad since they're located more towards the middle of the optic. Plus, if you're right-handed, your trigger finger never has to leave position since the left hand will be doing all the work. Now, while you might not be able to see the red dot through the camera on white or against the sky or bright light, I can see it through the scope. It is dimmed somewhat on those backgrounds, but it's still very visible. Astigmatism. Now this is actually a really good example of how prismatic sights can be better for you versus using a reflex sight if you have the same issues as I do. When I use a reflex sight like the Holosun 510C, what I see are double dots or even clusters sometimes. With the Strikefire 2, which is a prismatic sight, what I see is still a single dot, but it almost has like a starburst effect or solar flares coming off of it. It helped when I closed one eye, but I could absolutely use it with 2 eyes open. It was more than adequate for use that way. Even though I wasn't seeing a perfectly round, crisp red dot, I would definitely buy the Strikefire 2 again. Now, what about power? The Strikefire 2 takes a CR2 battery. On the red-only model, it supposedly lasts up to 80,000 hours long. On the dual illumination model, like what I have, it drops significantly down to 300 to 5,000 hours. I think it lasts a lot longer than that. I've had it since 2015. It's seen heavy use, and I've only ever had to change the battery once, and that battery's still going strong. Now, it doesn't have a shake awake feature in a sense, but it does have automatic shutdown after 12 hours of non-use. To wake it up in a sense, just push the up button and it's ready to go. If you want to manually shut it down, hold the up button for 5 seconds. If I remember right, all those years ago, the StrikeFire 2 came pre-installed with the cantilever ring mount. You can use 30mm rings, other ones if you want. Since waste not, want not is something I believe in, and the cantilever mount has proved to be a tough little thing, it has stayed. Since I'm optics obsessed, I hardly ever use my irons, so anywhere from 25 to 100 yards, I'll always choose to use a sight or a scope, even though many will judge me for that. So what's neat about the mount is that it allows for a lower third co-witness if sight failure ever leaves me hanging. You can use it with a magnifier for some extra power and range, and you can use it with a clip-on night vision scope since the lowest brightness intensities are night vision compatible. To mount to either Picatinny or Weaver rails, simply loosen the bolt, fit it to the rail, then hand tighten it. Once it's on, use the Torx wrench to tighten it further. Vortex says 35 to 45 inch-pounds is recommended. I hope you have a lot of spares on you because my Torx wrench that came with it broke. Even with the switching out optics regularly and the StrikeFire having seen regular use, the mounting screws for the ring mount have not come loose for me. You may want to keep an eye on that as it's always possible that they can, especially if you're using a caliber with more recoil. You can always add a little Loctite to it if you want that extra reassurance. Compared to the Holosun 510C that I own and tested for target tamers that you can read and watch via the links in the description below, the StrikeFire 2 lacks a lot, namely the dual power source, shake awake, interchangeable reticles, and a smaller dot size. However, what the Vortex has on its side is a lower price point, a clean, straightforward, close range 4 MOA dot, and of course, an impressive battery life, even if it's just for the red dot only model. I had minimal astigmatism issues with it, and it's withstood regular, heavy, repeated use over the years. It is really easy for beginners to work with for improving accuracy and technique. Yes, you can go small game hunting with it, home defense, inexpensive range practice, and for fun plinking practice for a day or if you're spending time with family and friends. Do I recommend the Vortex StrikeFire 2? Yes, absolutely. It has quality where it needs it in the fundamental components. Plus, it comes with the Vortex VIP warranty, so that is something to think about if you're stretching the budget as it is to even consider it. It's been a good red dot sight for me, and it's very deserving of its title as the top mid-range red dot sight to date. Now, if you want the nitty-gritty on the StrikeFire 2, check out our full write-up review on our website or click on the link in the description below. While you're down there, please like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Tina from Target Tamers, out. Hi there, Now the good news is that you know what? Screw it. Oh, whoops. Very